Welcome, everybody, to the offensive points start sit primer for week 10 of the NFL season. Now, Possums, before we get into this, we had something very big and very historic happen yesterday on November 5th. And I think it's important to know that this is just a time to reflect on previous years and realize how big of a letdown this was for the majority of the country. Some families are victory lapping right now. The people who wanted this to happen, the Smiths, the Williams, the Lattimores, they're very excited. Where some families are worse off than they already were. The Mingos, Jerry Jones' whole family, and essentially every Cowboys fans are lamenting the results of the 2024 NFL trade deadline. So we're going to dive into that. And we got some teams on bye this week. We got the Browns, the Packers, the Raiders, and the Seahawks. So we got some ground to cover. We're here to help you. I'm riding with Billy as always. And Billy, what's up?
Not much, Joe. And I agree. I was listening to a podcast and they were talking to Diana Rossini, and she had made a mention, or she actually called the Browns and asked if anybody had even called about Myles Garrett, and no one had even made a single call, which
Wow.
just tells me that like this trade deadline stuff is never going to matter ever, because there's never going to be a huge name traded on deadline day, at least offensively. Perhaps, I mean, I think Amari Cooper might have been traded whenever that was from the Raiders to the Cowboys years back, but like for the most part, I don't think we're going to get an actual trade deadline trade that matters. Do you think it's ever going to come back?
I mean, we had some small movement. We had Hopkins get moved. We had Amari Cooper get moved again at the deadline a couple days beforehand. But, it was cool seeing Zadarius Smith go to the Lions. I really think that's going to help that team out. And Zadarius Smith was kind of trapped in hell there in Cleveland. So I like it. I don't know. Maybe GMs were distracted this year. There was a lot going on. So hopefully brighter days in the future.
For sure. The Bengals, this is their fifth trade in season in NFL history. Like, that's kind of crazy to think. Um, is that trade going to mean anything? I don't know about all that, but I don't know. I guess we'll see as time goes on here.
I kind of like it, man. I can't wait to get into that game because I think Khalil Herbert could see some playing time this week.
Okay, well, shit. I guess without further ado, let's get right into it. The Thursday night football game this week is the aforementioned Bengals and the Ravens. Joe, apparently you have a Bengals lean here that I hadn't even considered.
Well, I just think they didn't want to turn the reins over to Chase Brown. They did it more out of necessity last game. But I think Khalil Herbert. I mean, we've seen what he can do in Chicago in years past. He's a good running back, and there's no reason in my eyes that he can't do exactly what Zach Moss was doing for this team. So he probably won't get a ton of run, but I'm probably not starting him. But I could throw him in there in a daily matchup, just see what's going on. I'm definitely not starting him, but in a daily matchup, I would consider it. I mean, this whole game is fun, though. I mean, Chase almost had 200 against his team last time. The one guy I'm interested in is Mike Gesecki, because we know when T. Higgins doesn't play, he is the guy that gets the run, but he's only played over 50% of the snaps one time. And last week, 2 touchdowns. He played like 36% of the snaps. So, I mean, he's super efficient, and I think we're going to keep riding it, but it's definitely something to be at least a little bit worried about, especially against this team. But
Yeah, I saw
I don't know.
Gesicki get picked up so many places throughout all of my leagues, and people are immediately putting him into their lineup, even in flex spots. I've seen like if they already have us established tight end. Feels risky to me. Feels like Isaiah Likely week one. If I can be completely honest with you, like I feel like this week would it be shocking at all if it was 3 for 50, which isn't
No,
a bad week, but I mean it's not going to win you anything from the flex spot. I don't think.
the sad thing is, likely he's getting more snaps than he is.
Yeah,
It's,
that's true. That's true.
so it's just worrisome because I mean, if Yoshi, he didn't do a whole lot last game. Of course, Higgins got 2 touchdowns last game. So if we're doing a direct correlation here, we would think Gesecki would get 2 touchdowns, but hell, maybe Yoshi gets some run. Maybe we see the running backs kind of break out here. I don't know. Last time these two teams played, they threw for over 800 yards and 9 touchdowns. So I know it's Thursday night. I know it's division. Get everybody in your lineup as soon as
Yeah,
possible.
it could be a rising tides leads or raises all boats situation. Yeah, Baltimore. This is just such a bizarre team. If you have anybody other than Lamar and Derrick Henry, Isaiah Likely is officially out this week for Thursday, so I feel like you're good with Mark Andrews. But I mean, I swear to God, as soon as you started trusting him again, 2 for 26 last week. I mean, you knew it was coming. Like it's just, it's so frustrating playing with this football team. Given the game was out of reach, but at the same time, I mean, that should just show you that they don't necessarily need Mark Andrews. They don't necessarily need Isaiah Likely. They don't need Zay Flowers, who had the big game last week, but only on 6 targets, so you can't really even count on that happening again. I don't know if you can trust anybody on this team full out, Joe. You're going to play him because you have to, but at the same time, like, other than maybe Justice Hill, just because of his pass catching work, I think he's the only other guy that you can trust. But I mean, are you putting Mark Andrews with any kind of confidence in there?
No, I would love to trust Mark Andrews, especially with Likely out. But Deontay Johnson, I mean, he only played 17 snaps last week. Probably
Yeah.
going to double that or triple that this week. I mean, they're going to get him integrated into this offense, which is crazy because I mean, we talked about this earlier in the season, but Zay Flowers is going to have some huge spike weeks, but they really don't need Zay Flowers a lot of the time on this team. They can throw it to anybody, and you have to defend Lamar and Henry so hard. I mean, anybody could have a big game for this team, so it's very worrisome.
Very much is. But I do look forward to a good football game. I think this has potential. I mean, the Ravens are favored by 6, but I wouldn't put it past the Bengals to make something of this. Their defense is non-existent. That was another weird one for trade deadline. I know that they picked up the running back, but I felt like we could have made a defensive call, maybe just to give this team a chance. Like, it's just weird to think a Bengals team with a healthy Burrow, healthy Chase is not in competitive modes right now. Like, throw everything at it, but whatever. They're just kind of riding what they got, and I don't think it's a good idea, but might just be a wasted year at this point.
It's just never quite enough for this team. It really isn't. I mean, Trey Hendrickson has 11 sacks through 9 games, so this is really cool to watch. But the defense as a whole is playing like garbage.
He's good. I think it's more of like the secondary I don't trust necessarily. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I do think the Ravens win this game, but I do think it's got shootout potential.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it was 41-38 in overtime last time. So I don't know. You brought up that the Ravens are favored by 6. They're 8-0 on Thursday night, which is kind of a wild stat.
That is crazy. Well, let's just hope for poor Al's sake that this is a good game, because I swear to God, Al Michaels has actually gotten some good games this year, and he seems a little bit more spirited than last year. It sounded like last year he was going to kill somebody in the booth. I remember when they brought Jason Kelsey in the middle of a Thursday night game. It felt like Al was going to stab him in the chest mid-broadcast, but I think he's having more fun this year, Joe, which is actually exciting to see.
That is exciting to see. We're getting some good games. I don't know. Last week, man, I was so underwhelmed with those football games last week until the Chiefs Bucs, and then I was like, all right, I'm back in it. But I mean, I just didn't even want to watch football last week. Part of that having to do with my Bears just absolutely sucking against the Cardinals, but it is what it is.
We'll get to that. All right, on to the Sunday morning football game that everyone and their mother can just sleep through. Sorry, I love football as much as the next person, but we got Giants-Panthers in Munich, Germany. This may be the first time we see Jonathan Brooks, which I think is a fucking joke. I sent this to you and Josh via text because Dave Canales came out and said that Jonathan Brooks would be activated this week, would practice, and that his first action could come in Munich, Germany. I just cannot believe the big weapon that the Panthers fans would want to see. They're debuting his ass on the road in Germany, Joe. I just, I cannot fathom what the Panthers are thinking right now.
I don't know. It's not the right way to run an organization, but I'm excited to see him on the field, and I'm going to wake up solely to watch him and Malik Neighbors.
He hasn't committed to him playing yet, so just everybody be calm. All the Chuba Hubbard, y'all are going to have to be the ones that wake up in the morning and switch him out, because we don't know what Jonathan Brooks' status is going to be just yet. But anyway, you still can't trust Bryce Young. I get that they beat the Saints. The Saints are kind of in the same boat, except they actually have a team that kind of at least a little bit more put together, but they still lost. Well, it's either Chuba or nobody. I don't think you played Brooks week 1. It'd be fun to watch him, but I don't think this is the week you put him in. Coker, obviously big disappointment. Everyone fucking saw that coming from a mile away. That has their fantasy head in the clouds. But Joe, Jatavian Sanders, is he someone you could trust right now in your lineup with the tight end position?
He's absolutely someone you can trust. I mean, it's you might have better options, and the Giants are a very tough matchup against tight ends, but he's proven to be a pass catcher. He had a clutch pass interference call to help them win that game. He's turning into a real weapon for them. So I'm not rushing to get him in my lineup this week, but if you have no other options, I would not be upset starting him. Just keep in mind it's a tough matchup. I mean, as far as the Chuba thing, man, if Brooks plays, I don't think he's going to play a lot, but it would worry me enough to consider benching Chuba. Especially
if he plays, I think you got to bench him. But if they even mention the word snap count, like maybe he gets 10 snaps, 15 snaps, I think you're okay. I think you're probably good to play him. But if they say that they're going to work him 50-50, hell no. Get me out of that.
Yeah. And we'll see if we get the news. But, I mean, you've been riding Chuba. Hopefully you traded him before this week. You might even still be able to move him. But we know Jonathan Brooks is an absolute stud. And Chuba's his contract's up at the end of this year. So I think they want to see who they have in Brooks. And I think Chuba's days are numbered here. So
I believe so.
And Leggett's a stud. I mean, that offense sucks. If he was on a better offense, we'd be talking about him a lot more than we are, but
for sure.
Looking good.
I think those are the only people you can trust right now. Jatavian, Hubbard, barring Brooks, and then I think Leggett is a guy you can put in your flex. Ceiling's not exactly going to blow you away, but I think the floor of it all is 11 points. I think you're probably good with that, PPR-wise.
Yeah, love watching him develop. I mean, the Giants side, Tyrone Tracy is about to light this defense to all holy hell. You might be able to get him before Sunday because he had a down week last week. You might be able to make a trade for him. I don't think people are as excited as we are here about Tyrone Tracy. So he's going to eat. And then Malik Neighbors continues to see 40+% of the targets for this offense. So get him back in the lineup. Trust him. I know he had a little bit of a down week for Neighbors, but he'll get back on track this week. And then Theo Johnson scored. That was cool to see.
Yeah. I'm putting him in any of my lineups, but he is good to have on the you put that little star next to him. I like that idea.
Yeah, just monitor people. I like stashing people before the breakout happens. Not saying Theo Johnson's going to break out, but, it could absolutely happen later on in this season, especially next year. Keep him on your radar for next year. So, I don't know. I think it's Neighbors and Tracy. If you're in a tournament on DraftKings, you could throw Slayton in there. He's been fine, but I still don't trust it. I don't think I ever will.
Nothing Wandale related either?
I mean, Wandale should get a lot of work. They kind of phased him away a little bit these last couple games, but, I mean, he looks really good. So you can start Wandale. Neighbors and Tracy. I'm not too invested in this game. I think the Giants handle this pretty easily, and
I'm not even going to wake up for it, Joe. I'm going to stay in my bed fast asleep. I'll wake up in the third quarter. It's going to be 17-0 one way or the other, and I'm going to be darn happy that I didn't have to see any of what happened.
I'm going to wake up and I'm going to grind some roastery Betty's Recipe coffee beans, cook it up, make some eggs, make some bacon, watch football.
Sounds like a hell of a morning, Joe. All right. I think the Giants win in Germany.
Yeah, I think they handle this game pretty easily.
Hope so. For your Bears' sake, too, for the pick. All right. On to the 12 o'clock slate. We got on the list a division matchup between the Chiefs and the Broncos. Starting with the Chiefs, this team is just so fucking boring to watch. I hate it so much. I just cannot understand why they can't be fun. I just don't get it. But whatever. They played the Bucs. They beat the Bucs. Travis Kelce actually showed out, which was interesting to say the least, because everybody was thinking because he was with the concert the weekend that he was going to be sluggish. Well, that didn't happen. He's 14 for 100, which, I mean, where did that come from all of a sudden? I think Kelsey's good to play. Hopkins good to play. Kareem Hunt's good to play. I'm still sitting Mahomes. I don't care what, 290 and 3 touchdowns. It is so boring to watch, Joe. I can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Hopkins definitely provides a jolt to this. And honestly, this was probably the most competitive game the Chiefs have played this year, to be honest with you. I mean, with the help of the refs, and I will say that, they have kind of by the fourth quarter, they're kind of putting these other teams away. But Hopkins and Kelsey stay involved that whole game. And I don't think we see it in Denver, but it is a divisional game. So, but I'm not in a rush to get Mahomes in, especially against this Denver defense. I don't.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that at all.
No. But Audric Estime for Denver getting a higher snap count. Get him on your benches, people. Do not get him into your lineups. Bo Nix, great fantasy quarterback, not a good real life quarterback. I don't expect this game to be much of a competition. But Cortland Sutton is getting fed the rock. He is absolutely in your lineups. I know I keep hearing that people have questions about Sutton. Should I start Cortland Sutton or this or that? They're going to have to throw in this game, and Cortland Sutton's in your lineups no matter what at this point. So just trust it. Chiefs win it.
Yeah, I agree with that. So the Chiefs' schedule, if they win this game, they'll be 9-0. They play the Bills next week. I think that is a very competitive game. That one will be the one that I'm watching. After that, though, Joe, they play the Panthers. They play the Raiders. They play the Chargers, which sounds tough on paper, but they've already beaten them once. The Browns, the potentially depleted Texans, depending on how that goes, and then the Steelers.
They've got some tough games coming up.
Okay, you say tough. I'm
100% bought in. Yeah, I mean, they probably will. I'm 100% bought in on the Chargers. Justin Herbert looks great. He must be completely healed in whatever he was doing there. But that offense is really starting to come together.
Yeah, I can understand that. I think the Chiefs win this one, though.
Oh, yeah.
Fair enough. All right, on to a surprising game in the 12 o'clock window that I don't think any of us would have thought would be competitive before the season, but here we are. Steelers-Washington, Joe. I actually think this is a heavyweight matchup that I can't believe we saw coming. All right, I have a small Jayden Daniels nitpick that I'd like to run by you before we get into the primer preview for this game. Can a couple more of these drives end up being touchdowns? Have you noticed how many of the drives for Commanders end up in a field goal?
Yeah, I picked up Austin Siebert everywhere, man. I love it.
Well, I mean, we all remember the infamous now Giants game where the Giants didn't have a kicker. They kicked 6 field goals in that game. That means they drove down the field 6 times and accepted a field goal 6 times. This past game that they just played, where you think they're in kind of a low-key blowout spot versus the Giants, you're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, they got this. They kicked 1, 2, 3 field goals out of the 5 scoring plays that they had. I just what are we missing here? I feel like we're just missing something with it. Maybe this is just me. Maybe this is okay. I guess that is it, but I don't know. I just wish we'd have more touchdowns on the board than they're putting up. I think there's a lot more opportunities to score here, and we're missing something. There's a key missing to the Jayden Daniels experience, and I wish we could just unlock that last door,
No, for sure. I completely agree with you. It is frustrating. I mean, against the Bears, that fluky Zach Ertz should have been a touchdown, got taken off the board, but I think Brian Robinson just is the offense in the red zone. We saw Austin Eckler be pretty ineffective down there last time. And I mean, McLaurin and Noah Brown are not end zone receivers, even though McLaurin kind of played that role a little bit last game. But I don't know. They need to try some stuff out and get some other people involved in the red zone. maybe we see Luke McCaffrey start getting involved in the red zone. That could be pretty interesting. But you're absolutely right.
I don't know. I just feel like I'm just seeing it too much. Like against your Bears, mind you, other than the last play of the game, all field goals, right? The whole game. They didn't score any other than what you said with the Zach Ertz thing. The week before that, Joe, they had 40 points. How many touchdowns do you think they had in 40-point football game?
3.
They had 2 touchdowns offensive in that game. They did have a defensive touchdown with a pick 6, but they only had 2 touchdowns in 40-point football game from Jayden Daniels. I don't know. I don't know. I just want more from him, I guess. And I think there is a ceiling that we haven't quite reached yet. He should be like a 30 or 40-point player every week.
Yeah, and I still think this offense is a piece away. I mean, they're a great offense, but McLaurin needs someone. I know Dotson wasn't but I mean, we were projecting in the preseason that Jahan Dotson was going to have a monster year. And we're kind of seeing Noah Brown play this role that Noah Brown should not be playing. We should have another threat at wide receiver. Like if T. Higgins would have gone there, I would be shocked to hear if they called to attempt to pry him away from the Bengals. But if they had another guy here, that's what they need to do. They have all the cap space in the world, so
I'm sure everybody listening to this right now is just yelling at me about like he's still like the QB2 in the league right now. Like, shut up. I get it. I'm just, I just want to see points on the board and, just want to see more from Jayden Daniels. I just love him so much. He's my guy.
We're fantasy football players, man. We need more. We always want
exactly.
More. It's never
as far as the actual players to play on the team, obviously Jayden Daniels, he's a threat at all times. Is Brian Robinson is back this week? Question mark? Or no?
I think he practiced today.
Okay. So well, he could be back. And then I think McLaurin. Last week was kind of fluky. 2 catches, 2 touchdowns, and that's about all he did in the game. But I just, better days are ahead, I think. I think this game you're going to have to try a little bit harder than that. It is probably going to be another field goal fest here against the Steelers, but here's the hoping, right, Joe? Here's the hoping.
Yeah. No, definitely hoping. My concern is that Joey Porter kind of sticks with McLaurin a little bit here, and this is a Noah Brown game. So in daily, I got some Noah Brown in my lineups.
Love that.
But yeah, I think this is just going to be a defense. I don't know. The Steelers just have a way of stifling other offenses here. So
you're right.
Steelers win. No, we didn't even cover the Steelers.
I was about to say, are you going to talk about the Steelers?
Yeah, we could. I mean, Russ is killing it. Washington's been a little bit better against the last couple games, but I don't know if Lattimore, does he play right away? Because that would be a huge boon.
It's a good question.
Yeah, I know this would be a huge boon to that defense if he gets on there. But, I mean, wheels up for the Steelers. I mean, Najee's putting up 100-yard games like it's his job, which it should be. Pickens is having a resurgent second half here. Get Pickens in your lineup. And, I mean, Russ is startable. Jaylen Warren, I want to see more of him, but they just seem to have gone away from that, which is strange, having Arthur Smith there and not using multiple running backs. But, hey, we live and we learn. And then Darnell Washington's getting way too much play for me to trust Friermuth right now. I do not like it.
Yeah, it's tough. In a league, I have to start Friermuth this week, and I have zero confidence because of the Darnell Washington piece, which, again, we were saying this all pre-draft. Darnell Washington, a Godzilla of a tight end, is an extra O-lineman out there, and I think they're finally starting to use him in that capacity, which is only going to mean good things for their offense. But yeah. Steelers.
I don't know. Mike Williams.
I don't think he plays.
Not going to help the team.
Plays. No. He's not a football player.
Yeah, I mean, he's better than Van Jefferson, I think.
Dude, to be fair, Mike Williams is just another guy on this team that like when we scroll at the beginning of the season, we're like, that guy's on this team? That guy's on this team? That one, he's there? Wow, that's crazy. Like, he's going to be one of those guys next season, probably. Like,
Yeah, who is
Mike Williams is on this team?
Scotty Miller is on the Steelers, isn't he?
Pretty sure.
Yeah, that was one that caught me off guard. I was like, who thought? Oh, it's Scotty Miller. I was all excited.
No, they have, it's like the island of misfit toys in the Steelers wide receiver room. But yeah, Steelers win.
You like the Steelers here, Mr. Commanders?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do. They have a good defense. I don't think Jayden Daniels has faced a defense like this. This is the games that Mike Tomlin was born for.
I'm really worried about his frame with TJ Watt.
Yeah. I'm worried about his frame every time he takes off running.
Oh, God.
Which you notice he's not doing as much, by the way. He's very smart with his runs now. He's not doing it. First couple weeks he was doing it willy-nilly, which was fun to watch, but it was kind of crazy. Now you could see these runs are very, very strategic.
Oh, yeah. No, he's definitely playing smart football, but I mean, Highsmith was trying to kill. They played Daniel Jones last week, right? No.
Yeah.
Who was he? No, was it Roger? He was trying to kill whatever quarterback. I texted our group chat about that. It's like, he should be out there for attempted murder.
Yeah, that's pretty
worried. Prayers up for Jayden Daniels.
He'll be fine. Maybe. All right. On to the Vikings versus the Jaguars. Joe, is there anyone on the Jaguars that you trust right now?
Ingram. I like Evan Ingram. He got a ton of targets last week. Didn't do a whole lot with them, but that should be pretty steady. Brian Thomas is just injured. I mean, there's a chance. Minnesota's given up a ton of pass yards. So Brian Thomas, if he is the least bit healthy, could go out there and have a really good game.
Yeah.
Not sold on Parker Washington. He's done it in the past, but it's too risky for your lineup. And then the running backs, man, I don't know. Just if you have to choose one of these guys, I feel sorry for you.
This is not the team I would want to be trotting either of these guys out against. And then the whole crux of the matter, and we're going to have this conversation in the offseason, by the way, is just like, I don't trust Trevor Lawrence. He does not seem to know what in the hell he's doing. And I know that they almost beat the Eagles, and that would have been a crazy-ass upset, which would have said a lot more about the Eagles than about the Jaguars. But I just, watching him play football, I'm just like, you seem to be in the same spot you were when you got drafted. Like, how have we not made any progress yet? Doug Peterson's a bad coach overall, but he's not this bad. Like, I just refuse to believe it.
I just got to know what's going on in the locker room because Trevor Lawrence, when he was drafted, we saw a pretty steep incline in his performance. He came out the gate, struggled a little bit, and then did really good. And now we've seen regression for 2 years now. So either the dude's confidence is completely shot. Something's going on here with him. I don't know if he needs to go see a psychologist or what, but
I just like it's got to be to me it's got to be the O-line because he doesn't even trust himself to run anymore, which makes me think he's afraid to get hit. If I can be honest.
Do you see how excited Cam Robinson was to be with the Vikings? That whole locker room thing. No, he went to that locker room and he was like, "Holy shit, this is totally different."
Well, the Jags do have ass facilities, but it is what it is. All right, on to the frauds. LOL, I mean the Vikings, as Josh would call this team, the frauds. Look, it does seem like we are tumbling back to earth really, really quickly for Vikings. They're still winning football games, but they're not pretty, I would say. The Sam Darnold of it all is starting to it's kind of like he had his armor on at the beginning of the season, and now like the armor's kind of cracked, it's kind of worn. There's like a rusted piece on the leg. Like there's just all sorts of holes in his game right now. But look, they keep winning. They're going up against a bad Jaguars defense right now that I think can be had. Aaron Jones, I would love to see a little bit more production. He's kind of slowing down quite a bit. It was scary as hell that Cam Akers was looking better in the few runs he had than what Aaron Jones was doing with about triple the carries. But you know what? I'm just going to put that in as they didn't expect to see Cam Akers run that well. That's the only thing I'm going to take from that. But obviously Justin Jefferson, he's an animal. Apparently he doesn't matter who's throwing him the ball. He's good, which I respect. Jordan Addison, I think, is a flex play at best. I don't think you can trust him as your wide receiver too, but if he is your flex spot, I can't hate what you're thinking there because against the Jaguars, I think he's got a place to eat, but I don't think you can start Hockenson, Joe. I don't trust him. He was on the bike pretty much that whole game, which only told me is that he was not quite ready to be in this football game yet, which makes me think he's also not ready to be in this football game yet. So until we get word that he's 100% healthy and he's planning to eat somebody out there alive, I'm probably not going to throw him in my lineup just quite yet. Even though it's frustrating, I'm sure you have Hockenson sitting on your non-IR spot bench. You have to think about playing him, but I don't think I can trust him personally.
Yeah, I want to see it first. I mean, he looked good in the very few times he actually did something last week, but I want to see it first. I want to see it happen, and then he's back in my lineup. And I think Darnold, this whole offense, I mean, we know how much Kevin O'Connell likes using the tight ends. So,
yeah,
it'll be there, but we want to see it first.
For sure. It's just really like Aaron Jones. Just come on. Let's get it going.
Oh, he'll be
Colts
fine.
have a pretty stout defense, but still.
The Colts defense has been shockingly good for what that team's been going through. So I know on every site you look at, the Colts are a good matchup, but they're really not.
I think the defense has been getting better every week, personally. It's just the offense that's terrible. But we'll get into that. We're not quite at them yet.
I think what happens with, Anthony Richardson was 3 and out pretty much every time he played. So they were getting pretty gassed. And now that Flacco's in there, he slows the game down enough to where they can at least recover a little bit before they have to go back on the field. Yeah, it's the Chicago Bears problem.
He looked as bad as Anthony Richardson against the Vikings last week, though. Flacco.
No, he definitely did, but he ran a better offense. I mean, I know the stats weren't the same, but when you actually look at the way the game was played, it was slowed down.
Fair enough.
More professional.
Fair enough. They had a shot to win the game at the end, so I can't knock it, but it looked rough as hell. And I was like, can Anthony Richardson not? We'll get to that. We're getting to the Colts. That's a whole other thing. I do think the Vikings win this game. They're going to be 7-3. It's going to be the most. I'm almost agreeing with Josh in the fraudulent part of it, but I do think this is a good football team. They're just not 7-3 good to me right now, but whatever. It is what it is. All right, on to the Falcons versus the Saints. What Falcon are you not starting against the Saints team right now with Lattimore now gone?
Pitts. He popped up on the injury report. We saw, even after London went down, we saw Mooney get 40% of the targets, and Bijan got 30% of the targets in that game. But, I mean, I don't know. I think I might sit Pitts.
Wow. You heard it here first, folks. He's sitting Pitts. But I don't know. I don't think there's anybody other than like Ray McLeod that I'm going to not start in this game. I'm good to go with everybody. However, we don't know if Drake London's going to play, so that's another thing to watch. He has a hit pointer day to day. We'll see.
If London doesn't play, Mooney, man, to the moon, man.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
I think he's that way anyway. But
no, I know, but he had 40% of those targets last week.
And Kirk is cooking. Like the problem with Josh's the takes he made this offseason is he was so right about Aaron Rodgers, but he's so dog wrong about Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Like it's not both. It's definitely they're completely different players right now. And he's gonna be wrong about one and right about the other. But he's we're gonna hear a lot more about the Jets than the Falcons, I assume.
Yeah, every effing primetime game.
Yeah, no kidding.
Ridiculous now.
I did see they got flexed out of one, so that is at least a step in the right direction. All right, on to the Saints, who are just a walking infirmary. I don't think there's any way else to say it other than Alvin Kamara. He is just chugging along. It's like he's never, it's like he's playing a different game than the rest of the football team, if I can be completely honest with you. He can't get in the end zone because Taysom Hill exists, but I do think that there's still opportunity for him to show up and show out. He's getting the yardage. He's getting the catches. Only one that Derek Carr clearly trusts throwing the ball to right now. I don't think Olave is going to be back. I saw today he's he's consulting a specialist after getting another concussion, which is the fourth one they've called. I swear it was like 6 or 7. So I mean, good for him for only getting 4 counted towards him. But yeah, I think it's Kamara and Taysom.
Yeah. Yeah, Taysom really got a lot of play once Olave went down, too. I mean, Mason Tipton, no. Juwan Johnson, no. So I think those are your 2 guys. But Chris Olave, man, I was on Twitter the other day, and someone did a mashup of all of the big hits he has taken in his career. It's insane. It's insane. Derek Carr
Truly
sucks.
No, he should be arrested for attempted murder for what he did to Olave on Sunday to get him that concussion.
Yeah.
Because that was the most medicine ball of all time. Even if it had been not in the air, which is the ultimate like attempted murder charge, had it been just down on the ground, it still was going to result in him getting destroyed. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't like Derek Carr right now. He's not.
Thank God Dennis Allen got fired because that. Whew.
Yeah. That team's going to need a whole ass overhaul. And I'm couldn't happen to a better franchise right now. Right?
They've got like negative $75 million in cap space. So
yeah, there's not like the problem with the Saints right now, and I think we're going to go to bags over our heads mode before we go to actual successful mode. Is there's not really anyone on this team that you're like excited to see, like excited to watch every week, like in the future even, because like Kamara's time's coming to an end. Olave is like closer to retirement than he is being a top 5 wide receiver in the league. Taysom Hill is damn near retirement. Derek Carr is damn near retirement. The defense is damn near retirement. They traded Lattimore. It's just like what do you even get excited about on this football team right now? It's just kind of sad.
You can't tell me you can't trade like Cam Jordan or Demario Douglas to a contender and just let them at least chase it. I mean, Lattimore got out of there, thank God. But
yeah, no, honestly, that's what the Bengals should have done this. Like, should have gone and got those guys, get them in the lineup. I mean, I don't know where they would have fit exactly, but whatever. We'll figure that out on the back end.
Yeah.
They can just be here like Von Miller and just come in on certain days.
I think that's what we see with the good teams is they have this depth and they acquire these pieces that don't necessarily have a starting spot, but they're like, hey, you're on the team and we're going to use you, and it benefits everybody. But
right. All right, Falcons win this game, 7-3 Falcons. I think they are about to wrap this division up pretty soon.
I thought you said the score was going to be 7-3. I was like, please, can we get a little bit
Falcons, more? If they scored 7 points, something went terribly wrong.
Yeah.
All right, on to not the last 12 o'clock one in the window. We got the 49ers Bucs. Christian McCaffrey time, Joe, or maybe? Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Yes, no, maybe so. What
so.
What are you thinking? What are you thinking this weekend? And we can't know right now. They haven't officially said anything, but just prognosticating, what do you think?
I don't know, man. I'm going to play it more conservative. He might get a couple snaps in there. I mean, if Christian McCaffrey plays, you have to get him in your lineup because the 49ers need to win football games, and this is the way that they win football games. So if he plays, you're playing him, but I think we're going to see Grendo. We're going to see Jordan Mason. He seems to be back and healthy now too. So I think for at least a couple weeks, you're dealing with, the 3-headed monster for the 49ers, which I'm not looking forward to at all. But if he plays, you got to play him. You took him number 1 overall for a reason.
You sure did. Yeah, I think if you have him, you have to play him, which is just tough. I do think if you have Jordan Mason, I wouldn't totally hate putting him in there. I don't think that if he's back, I don't think McCaffrey's going to get all of the work.
Mason's
most of the work,
dude.
Well, I don't know. I think you ride him one more week. I think it's a Hubbard situation. I think there's a easing in.
this injury that he's dealing with right now is the most frustrating damn thing because, I mean, and Grendo's looked awesome in his steed, so in his stead, not his steed.
Stead. But no, I get you. Yeah, I think Kittle's obviously good to go. Debo, good to go. And I think Parasol is going to get better every week. I think they just haven't quite figured it out yet. But
I love Juwan Jennings if he plays.
I mean, that's fair. I still think
his separation
it'll be Parasol over Jennings, but yeah.
Yeah, I think by the end of the season, but I think for this week, I think Jennings has a huge game.
Okay, well, if he's back, that's fine. Bucs side of the football, what a mishmash of random people on this football team right now, Joe. Other than Otten and Baker, the rest of this is just a mixed bag.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm personally starting Bucky, and I'm personally in another league starting Rachaad White. I don't feel confident in either one of them having a number one week, but they're both flex guys, I guess, at best.
Yeah, and I mean that's the problem because like with the Bengals, you had Zach Moss and you had Chase Brown, and that was it, right? But when you add Sean Tucker into this mix too, he gets just enough to make this just frustrating as hell. So, yeah, I think it's Otten and Baker. I mean, we saw the connection with Sterling Shepard that was very strong at the end of that game. That catch was ridiculous. So I think you can throw him in there if you need it. But again, I'm trying to stay away from these wide receivers until Evans comes back.
Yeah, that's kind of all you can do. One of these guys is eventually going to pop, but you're not going to have them in your lineup when they do pop if anything is to be said. I'm actually making my pick this game on a caveat. If CMC plays, I think the 49ers win. If he doesn't play, I think Baker takes it.
Yeah. I'm Team Baker, dude. I was cheering so hard against the Chiefs last week. Of course they won.
Well, it's just the way the cookie crumbles, unfortunately, but here we are. All right, Bills Colts. Back to, we're going to rewind our conversation back to Flacco. Now going against a Bills defense that's on par, I would say, with the Vikings defense from last week. What are you thinking going into this? What's your headspace with the Colts right now?
It's not good. I mean, Flacco is a very sketchy spot start in a 2 QB league right now, especially against the Bills. I love Josh Downs. I mean, Josh Downs is still getting a ton of the work. The fact that Michael Pittman only had 14 yards last week is just beyond.
Wait, okay, so this is something that I think should be gambling malfeasance because I bet on him over yards. He has a back issue that should have kept him out of the game. And no one apparently knew this until the actual broadcast when they're like, yeah, we've been talking to Michael Pittman all week, and yeah, this back problem he's got is really keeping him out of most of these plays. He's mostly a decoy out there. And I'm just like, well, what the where's Adam Schefter with this shit? Like, where's all these gambling sites with this stuff? They didn't have his line anywhere close to him having this debilitating injury that's only going to keep him out there for a couple of plays. So yeah, there's this injury reporting this season, Joe, has been one of the wackiest things ever I can remember. Every year there's a couple of weird ones, but this year it just feels like every week there's some weird shit going on that we don't have any privy to.
Yeah, like right before kickoff in week 1. Oh, by the way, Christian McCaffrey's Achilles both suck,
He's going to be gone until November. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. No, it's been stupid as hell. And I mean, we knew Pittman. I thought he was going on IR, and then all of a sudden they were like, nah, he's good. But you would assume when they say he's good that he's good. He's not just going to play 3 snaps each game and call it a day.
Right.
So, yeah, it's screwy. I mean, Jonathan Taylor is set up. I mean, the Bills don't give up a ton, but you got to start JT at this point. And then Josh Downs and, I mean, Alec Pierce, if you really need something. They seem to love him, man. He's doing what we thought A.D. Mitchell was going to do this year, but I don't know. I'm not overly excited about starting any of these guys outside of JT and Downs.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Bill's side of things, it's looking more and more like Keon Coleman isn't going to play this week. We'll see what they can say officially. Amari Cooper was out last week. I don't have you happen to see if Amari Cooper what they said about him playing this week?
I have not. I will look that up right now.
All right. Well, I'll fill. James Cook's good to go. Josh Allen's good to go. The shocker of all shockers, Joe. I'm actually thinking Ray Davis may be a flex guy. Against all odds. It's because of these 1 or 2 pass plays a game that are designed to get him like 40 to 50 yards down the field for this crazy catch. And you're like, what? Who's that wide receiver? Who is that? And then it's Ray Davis. And you're like, well, what the hell? It's a running back. How do you get there? But I'm loving it more and more. The rushing is not doing anything good, but these catches, he's been catching these bizarre long balls that I actually kind of think are, something you can replicate week to week. I also like Shakir. He's got a solid floor. Kincaid, I think, also kind of touchdown dependent, but with the tight ends being what they are, I think you still got to start him as if he is that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just have to understand that Kincaid's going to get you 7 catches for 40 yards each game, and hopefully he gets a touchdown. That's kind of the saving grace.
He brings a lunch pail to work, Joe. That's all.
He really does. And I mean, Ray Davis, man, when we were doing our rookie content, which we are going to be starting up soon, so keep an eye out for that. But I mean, my first initial reaction to Ray Davis was like, dude, this guy's like Le'Veon Bell with the way he catches and runs this rock. And he's kind of starting to look that way. So if I have James Cook, I'm a little bit worried because the coaches are seeing this stuff. They've been seeing it for over half a year now. So yeah.
Well, especially these games like last week when they were playing Miami, it was a shootout. Like they said, James Cook, get the out of here. It's Ray Davis time, baby.
Yeah. And he looks great doing it.
That should definitely scare you. But Cook still startable, still had 5 catches in the game. Like he's still good. It's just Ray Davis is coming.
Yeah, Cook is great. You're not benching Cook. You're not, but at least be a little bit worried to see him look this good. And Amari he practiced today. So
okay. Well, see that. I mean, that'll take away the Mack Hollins nonsense. So at least we can mark that off as a possibility. But yeah, I think the Bills win this one. The Colts, they're just not a good football team, but they should be better, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No,
all right.
It's weird, man. They just get it done. It's weird.
For sure.
Lunch pail team.
Last game in the noon window is the Bears versus the Patriots. Joe, who on your Bears? Like, what's going on with the Bears? Give us the Bears state of emergency right now. Please let us in.
London Bridge is falling down. It is a shit show. Flus apparently has completely lost the locker room. DJ Moore has not even tiptoed around the subject, just been openly defiant. Ran off the field after tweaking his ankle last week. Make of that what you will. A lot of people were doing the Anthony Richardson nonsense about that, but he said he tweaked his ankle and he was already out of bounds, so he just ran to the bench so he wouldn't get a penalty called. Caleb has no time to throw this football, man. The craziest thing about last week was that the Bears could not defend a 3-man rush. That's all the Cardinals were throwing at us half of the game. We couldn't defend it. There was a guy in Caleb's face every single time. He would scramble. Keenan Allen used to do this shit for Justin Herbert all the time. No, not doing it anymore. Komet has all but disappeared. And DJ Moore and Caleb cannot get on the same page. So with the Bears, you have DeAndre Swift and you have Rome Odunze, who looks really good. I mean, I've been kind of calling for this whole season. Anytime he's gotten more than 7 targets, he's gone over 100 yards. So keep feeding him the rock. I mean, what else do you have to lose at this point? He is your rookie. So it's Swift and Odunze. I think you can use as a flex. But yeah, that's it. Everything has fallen apart on this offense.
Joe, are you ready for one of the wildest stats I've ever heard?
Yeah, preach.
It has to do with your Bears. Bears. All right. According to Benjamin Solak, who is citing Next Gen Stats, says that 16 different Cardinals got a pressure against the Bears on Sunday. That is the most individual players to get a pressure for a defense since 2018.
Yeah. It was
In
probably the
that
Bears in
football game
2018 too.
we just watched against the Arizona Cardinals, who we all can agree don't have a defense that you're exactly scared of.
No. Oh, it kills me,
And
man. Ryan Poles is an offensive lineman, and he cannot evaluate offensive lineman talent to save his ass. I mean, we've spent money, we've spent picks everywhere. Darnell Wright's solid, but I know we have injuries, but like, the Bears have not had an offensive line since 1985. I think that was the last time.
it's definitely been a while. And yeah, also to add on to that, so the Cardinals walked into the game with a 26% pressure rate. During this game, they had a 46% pressure rate. And I was just getting into an argument with all sorts of these Caleb Williams haters on Twitter when I'm just like, did you all watch the game? Every play he drops back, there was a man on the other team with him in the backfield. Every play, it was
Every
him,
single
the running
play.
back. The running back doesn't ever pick him up. The offensive lineman always lets one through just because, like bouncers at a bad club, they got to let one through. And it's just like he's having to dip, dive, and dodge the one person they send back there every single play, and then he's got to make his reads. Like I don't understand this process, like thought process of people where they're like, he can't read, he only makes one read. When does he have time to make reads? Are you kidding me? He's got a guy coming at him immediately, so he's already lost his time to actually evaluate the field. He has to dip out of that and then reevaluate with every player in a new position, and he's got to find the pass to throw it to. And it's just so frustrating every time, which I get it. He does miss some throws, but overall, like, come on. Like,
Yeah.
give him a break. I am not a Caleb Williams apologist, like, at all. Not like that anyway, but even I can be like, come on, like, he's not really getting a fair shake here. We're not going to know until he has an O-line if he's even good at reading a field, to be honest.
Yeah, no, and you're absolutely in the aforementioned play where DJ Moore ran off the field because he hurt himself. Caleb ran all the way to the left sideline, looped around, missed it. I mean, totally juked the defender. He should have been sacked there. Ran all the way back to the right side of the field, threw it to Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen drops the fucking ball. So this is the Chicago Bears. We need to accept that this is the Chicago Bears, and hopefully we can get a better line on this team. But I mean, at this point, put Gervin Dexter in the fucking backfield, get Swift out of there because we can't run anyway, and then just have an extra blocker for Caleb. When that guy makes it through the line, someone large is there to stop him. That's my only question.
It's just like they're. What I don't understand is like, why is Roshan not back there? Why would they even get Khalil Herbert while he was still there? Like, why was he not back there just chipping somebody, just something? But yeah. I don't know. It's been frustrating watching the Bears because you can see the bones of a great team here. The fact that they're 4-4, I think, is a fucking testament to how good Caleb actually is. Because you take away the Hail Mary, they'd be 5-3. That's a completely reasonable in the playoff hunt kind of football team right now. And I just feel like people just don't want to like Caleb, and I get it, but it's just like, this is not the hill to die on here at all.
No, well, it's the fact it's the Bears, and then it's also Caleb Williams. I mean,
that's true.
Caleb Williams is a very confident man. He does whatever he wants. He's got a personality that does not give a shit what people think, and people that hate absolutely cannot stand that type of personality. And it's the Chicago Bears, and everyone hates the Bears, so it's a twofold situation.
All right, we'll hop off the Bears for a minute to get to the New England Patriots, which doesn't take super long because it's the Patriots. I'm actually liking a lot from Drake May. I can't really tell if he's good or not, and I don't know how anybody, but he is exciting, and I will give the Patriots that. They haven't had an exciting quarterback since Brady. Younger Brady, like 5 years before Brady. Well, he's still going to Super Bowls. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah.
So Drake May is a start. I mean, he's getting enough of the rushing yards to make up for what he's not doing with his arm necessarily because of the receiving situation. Ramondre is a start. I mean, it's not doing anything for me, and I'm feeling frustrated as a Ramondre Stevenson guy. That they've invested a lot of money into him, so he might still have a job, after the season. And then the wide receivers are just a shit show. If you want to start one, do it at your own peril. But Hunter Henry is still good to go as a tight end guy, though.
Yeah. Oh, Hunter Henry. Demario Douglas caught some stuff. He's got to monitor, but you're not starting him. But Drake May
7 for 35, by the way. 7 for 35.
PPR
Demario
guy.
Douglas. Exactly.
PPR guy.
That's exactly what it is.
I mean, Drake May had 95 rushing yards last week. He's a start. You're absolutely right. And I'm tired of people I made a trade in a dynasty league for Drake May a couple weeks ago, and people were hating on it. I was like, dude, he's the future. He's going to be good.
People are just freaking out. I mean, we're going to get into this more when we get to the offseason, but I think JJ McCarthy is a really, really good buy right now.
Yes.
Because I don't think they bring Sam Darnold back. I think he ends up on, let's just be real, he's probably ended up on the Colts. And so he's going to be gone after the season. And I think JJ is going to walk into a good situation there because I think he's better than Sam Darnold. And I think we're going to see that. But let's get ahead of ourselves.
We definitely share a brain, though, because I was in our leagues. Davis has him in all of our leagues. And I was going to make a trade for JJ McCarthy, and he doesn't trade. So I didn't do it. We share a brain, Billy.
That's sad times there. I think your Bears win. I hope if they lose, though, it's panic button time.
Yeah, New England's going. Flus has to go, man.
Yeah. Well, if the Patriots win this football game, that is a Flus firing situation.
Yeah, the Bears won't do it though. We'll wait till Black Monday.
Probably so. It is what it is. All right, on to a game that I think should be relatively quick, but we'll see. Maybe you've got something to talk about here. That is the Titans versus the Chargers in the late window, which I am super glad they put in the late window, by the way, because, God, I don't want to watch this game. I like the Chargers from a distance, but they're just not a great team to watch all the time. I'm sorry. It's just not there. Dobbins, good to go. Herbert, I'm starting to like more and more. Quentin Johnston, I don't know. I don't know because I think now if you put him in after you probably dropped him, somebody picked him up on waivers because that little ESPN projection, and then he did hella good, but you probably didn't start him. This week, probably not going to do the same thing, and it's going to be a McConkey week, which last week, if you started McConkey, you were bummed because he didn't do exactly what he did the week before without QJ. It's a whole mess, but I think you can start McConkey. I don't trust QJ. I just don't yet. Still.
I want to trust QJ, but I mean, the fact is he's doing this on 3 and 4 catches each week, and we know how this ends. We've had these guys in fantasy football for the land before time. It has always happened, and
it feels like it's always a Charger. It's always a Charger too. It feels like there's always a guy on the Chargers that does this shit. 4 catches for 100 yards, and you're like, oh, okay, great, and then you get him in there, and it's 2 for 18 the next week.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. It is always a Chargers player. I do like Will Dissly here. I mean, we were right about the Titans being phonies against tight ends because as soon as Ernest Jones walked, Hunter Henry came in and put up 7 for 56. So I think Dissly could be a down game last week, but I'm starting him this week.
I think you're right.
Yep. No, Tennessee. Titans. I mean, Pollard's hurting. Pollard's hurting, man. I don't even know what you do with this team. Chargers are such a rough matchup that, I mean, Ridley's been doing it. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine randomly been doing it. Josh Wiley scores a touchdown every week with Mason Rudolph now. I just don't think a whole lot's happening for this Tennessee offense here. I think I'm starting Pollard if I have him. If you have a better option than Pollard, which I doubt you do, throw him in there. But starting Pollard. And then, I mean, Ridley, I don't trust it at all, but he's been getting it done with Mason Rudolph. So keep firing him up.
That's fair. Chargers win.
Yes. I've seen too many people pick up Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. I know he's doing it right now.
But he's a touchdown guy. That's all it is.
So worrisome. I don't know how you feel comfortable about that.
We wish it was Treylon Burks. All right. Next game on the slate. Eagles Cowboys. Thank God Josh is not here to talk about this. I'll talk about the Cowboys because I think it's pretty quick. I don't think you can start anybody other than Jalen Tolbert if CD doesn't play, as I don't think CD is going to play. If CD plays, obviously he plays CD, but if he doesn't play, I think it's Jalen Tolbert. That is the guy that they're going to trust to try to be the wide receiver one on this team this week. I don't trust any of the running backs. It should be Dowdle, but I still don't think that they're going to completely use him. Zeke was on punishment last week, so now he's off, and he's going to be back in this mess that they call an offense with Cooper Rush. Mingo's there. I don't think he's going to get anything the first week. I think they're going to try to ease him in. He doesn't know the playbook. Not that there is one with Cooper Rush. I think it's just go out there and run, and then he'll throw you something maybe.
Yeah.
That's probably the only playbook they need for Cooper Rush right now. I would love to see Trey Lance, by the way. I'm going to be hoping that happens the entire game. I'm gonna be hoping and praying that we get Trey Lance at some point in this game, but who knows? I don't think that's going to happen. But if it does, I will be very excited for that moment in this one.
Well, when Philly's up by 40 in the second quarter, I think we might see Trey Lance. Jake Ferguson, I think you'd still play him. I mean, he's going to be the number one target on this team outside of Tolbert, so I don't like it.
I would hope so. Cooper Rush didn't really go after him, which was tough to tell at the end of that Falcons game what was what, like if that was real or if that was just game planny. But it was odd that he didn't go to him much at the end. But point taken, he is a target on the team.
I mean, Philly's a brutal matchup, so don't get overly excited that he's the only show in town because Philly will defend that well. But I don't know. I'm with you on Dallas, man. I really hope we see Trey Lance here. And then, I mean, on the Philly side, you're starting everybody. A.J. Brown, he's got the knee issue. He's day to day. It might be back. If he plays, play him. He might play a decoy role because I don't even know how much you need him against Dallas. But if he plays, you have to play him. And then we got Devonta Smith dealing with the hamstring now that popped up today. Didn't know about this at the end of the week, so it's definitely something to monitor. Jalen Tolbert looked all right after A.J. Brown went down last week. So, if you're in a super shitty situation, you could consider him. Dallas Goedert's back. He's healthy. So play Dallas Goedert and absolutely play Saquon. He's going to butt hurdle everybody.
Yep. And Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. Start them all.
Love it. Eagles win. Cowboys are in a death spiral right now.
They really are. You know what I kind of want to do? You brought up the Trey Lance thing. I kind of want to make a DraftKings lineup with Kenny Pickett in there because I'm sure he's cheap as hell. And even if he plays one quarter, gives me like 12 points, that would work.
That's true. And you probably know he's going to rush the touchdown. Like he's probably not going to throw it if he does get one. So I don't know. Don't hate that idea. That's also America's game of the week, by the way. Josh is always mad about the Cowboys getting it. Well, the Cowboys are getting it with the Eagles this week. On to the last one in the late window. It's the Jets versus the Cardinals of Arizona. This can be a very interesting game. I do see the bones of this being an interesting game. On the Cardinal side of the ball, I'm sorry, Marvin Harrison is no longer an auto start. I think it's dependable on the matchup, and this is not a matchup you want to play him in. I've got him in 2 leagues, and he is benched in both of those leagues based on what else I have on the team. Never in my wildest dreams thought we'd be saying that this far into the season, but here we are. James Conner's good to go. Kyler Murray's good to go. Trey McBride's good to go, even after a weak showing last week. They didn't really need him. I don't know what to do with Amari DiMercato. Was that just a flash in the pan to you, Joe, or was it something we may be building on here as a non-Trey Benson wide or running back in the mix?
I think it was a flash in the pan. I mean, James Conner is running like a man possessed here, and Trey Benson got more run than we're used to seeing. Really, what it came down to, Arizona did not have to throw the football at all in this game.
Yeah.
It was just they were being nice to us fantasy people by having Kyler throw it a couple of times in that one. But I just think they figured out they could just run it, and that's what they did. So DiMercato, I mean, it's a guy you can roster, but I don't think he's anywhere near lineups.
That's fair enough. I mean, I think he was just like a really good DK play last week. Maybe not, startable guy going forward.
Yeah.
Jets?
I mean, McBride's year one.
Yeah, 100%.
McBride's year one on that team. Well, let's talk about the Jets, man. Brees Hall, yeah. Devontae Adams, almost said Hopkins. Devontae Adams, yeah. They kind of rekindled that one. And then Kenny Yabo, yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Garrett Wilson, dude, that catch was unbelievable. I do
Catches.
catches. Yes,
That guy is insane. And it's like, I just like if I just we need to get those highlights on our little video thing here. And anytime Josh starts talking shit about Garrett Wilson, we'll just play those. Just play him
Yeah.
on the pod and just be like, yeah, remember when he was this, because this is who he is all the time. But yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you're starting all your Jets. Rodgers is even a start here. The Cardinals, I mean, they're coming into this game cocky, so their defense could play pretty tough, especially with the Jets always play down to their opponents. But I don't know. I think you start all your Jets. I don't see any reason to have any trepidation there.
I think I agree with you there. Is Braylon Allen a drop for you?
Yes. Unless you have Brees Hall. And if you have Brees Hall, I would be going out of my way to acquire Braylon Allen.
Okay.
This is the time of year to get your handcuffs. No, you're right. Sure. You're right.
I do think the Jets win this game, though. I think they're coming back. I think they've found something.
I'm gonna disagree with you. I got Cardinals. I think they found something recently. They're gonna keep
I think
riding.
You don't like the Jets, which I can appreciate that, but that's what it is.
Well, when their quarterback kicks your ass for 15 years, you gotta.
Yeah, I can see what you may have a bias against them. All right, Sunday Night Football. It's actually a great matchup, Joe. I just hope Nico Collins is back. It's the Lions versus the Texans. Who are we not starting in this game? Because I think this is just an all hands on deck, everybody's playing situation here. I don't even know if we need to talk about individual players at this point.
No, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if Jameson Williams, what his role looks like after that suspension, but that's really the only person everyone else, it's all systems go.
I guess for the Texans, if Nico Collins doesn't play, who is the wide receiver 2 to tank Dell's wide receiver 1 to you?
Joe Mixon.
You're probably right there. We didn't actually get to tell at all in this Jets game because they locked everyone up. I think
it's Robert Woods. Robert Woods actually had a couple good plays last week. Father Time is being kind to him at this point in time, but I don't know. I mean, I thought it was going to be a Mechie game. I thought with Diggs out, Mechie was finally going to do something. He really didn't. Xavier Hutchinson didn't do anything. So I think it's Robert Woods. I think if you're looking,
I just don't understand why they kept Mechie if they weren't going to use him as the wide receiver 2 on the game, like on the field when Diggs goes down and Nico's not there. Yeah, I just hope Nico comes back. That's what makes this game fun. But I don't really know. We don't need to spend time on this one. The primer is this is going to be a great offensive game, especially if Nico's back. I think even without Nico, last week against the Jets, let's just throw out that result. Like that, they just locked him up in that game. But I think that this one's going to be a little bit more back and forth.
Yeah, no, I like the shootout potential here. I do have a concern that especially if Nico doesn't play, I think Detroit might just be able to run this ball. I mean, if Al-Shahir is still going to miss this one, which I haven't looked at an injury update, but if he's still sitting, and I mean, Houston's been beaten against the run here, so I mean, it could be a Monty and Gibbs game, and Amon-Ra and Laporta. I'd struggle a little bit. I could see it playing out that way, but I'm still starting all these guys.
That's fair. I do think the Lions win. I don't think the Texans have enough.
Yeah, Detroit's got this one.
For sure. All right, on the Monday Night Football, Dolphins versus the Rams. Joe, which of these two offenses are you liking right now?
I got to choose one?
Yeah.
Give me the Rams. Stafford is a top quarterback this week. He's at least top 10. He's got Nakua, who I believe is the wide receiver one still. Cup is going to get a ton of targets, and he's going to look awesome. And we got another week of rest for Puka because he punched someone last week. So it was a weak-ass call, but we got him some more rest, so he's going to be back. And then, Kyron Williams is going to eat. He's going to feast. I love everybody in this game, dude. Except for Waddle. Waddle can. I don't want to step on your toes there, but Waddle.
I mean, there's not much to start. We're right back to what we kind of were talking about in this last game. Both these offenses are really good. I will say this Rams defense is coming on. Jared Verse, I don't know what the defensive rookie of the year odds look like right now, but if Jared Verse isn't at the top, then I'm just missing someone that must be completely dominating. Might look that up here in a second. But, yeah, Jared Verse is just eating. So that would be the only concern on defense potentially. But the Dolphins, you can't sit anybody. Every time a chain is in there with Tua, he's a wide receiver one. Or not wide receiver, a running back one. I mean, he's been dominant every week because the scheme just really, really works for him if Tua is in there. So Tua's obviously good to go. A chain's good to go. I think Raheem Mostert's even good to go. I kind of wish they'd stop giving touches to Jalen Wright right now. I get it. I understand it. Me and you are both Jalen Wright fans. But it's kind of it may be doing a little too much. Too much dip on the chip, I think is how they say it. For having Jalen Wright out there. I think they could use those touches with the chain and Mostert and feel good. Tyreek obviously good. Would love to see him get in the end zone soon. And then Jonnu, and I still believe in Waddle, even if he only catches 2 balls and a touchdown for -4 yards.
Yeah, no, your analysis is correct, but Jalen Waddle can kiss my ass.
You out on Jalen Waddle?
Not for the future, but for this year, absolutely.
Okay. Circling back to my defensive rookie of the year odds, he is -200 right now to be defensive rookie of the year. Latu is +650, and then Quinyon Mitchell's 9-1, which I'm like, Quinyon Mitchell? That is the third person on this list. It's a rough year for the rookie of the year candidates right now.
I'm glad Josh isn't here for that because Quinyon is a lockdown corner. He's probably better than any other corner in the league at this point.
He's good, but I don't think he's been rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year good. He has been good. I do want to give it to him.
Yeah.
It's just he's not get an award worthy. Offensive rookie of the year is all wrapped up. By the way, I think the Rams win this game. I think the Rams are about to go on a tear now. And the Dolphins, again, going to be a hell of a game, good offensive points, and then they end up losing the game. Let's run through these awards real quick and see what we agree with, what we disagree with. MVP right now, Lamar Jackson is +280, Josh Allen 3-1, Pat Mahomes 4-1, Jared Goff 7-1, and then Jayden Daniels, Jalen Hurts are both 12-1. Who out of that bunch right there are you feeling best about? Would you feel best about?
I love Lamar and the football he's playing is there, but Jared Goff, the efficiency that he is playing at is off the charts. I mean, he's not good for fantasy right now at all, but every time you look at his stat line, he's 7 for 8, 14 for 15. He is throwing the ball to where he is supposed to be throwing the ball, and they are making the plays. So if the Lions make a run, which we believe they should, I could easily see Jared Goff winning this, which would be the ultimate fuck you to the Rams.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I think Jared Goff is probably my favorite, and probably Josh Allen. He's 7-2 with nobody, with nobody on his team. So I can kind of respect what he's been doing to get them back in it. But I think those are the two. Offensive rookie of the year, Jayden Daniels is -1400, kind of not even worth betting right now. Bo Nix is +1700, and then Caleb's 25-1. I don't think there's any real competition here. Jayden Daniels is really the only option at this point. We already talked defensive rookie of the year. Offensive player of the year, we've got Derrick Henry -145. Saquon is 2-1. Justin Jefferson 5-1. Lamar 20-1. And Jamar Chase is also 20-1. I don't know how you can go against Derrick Henry right now.
You can make the case for Saquon because he is just steamrolling people. Yeah, probably even better than Derrick Henry.
You're right about that. It's just like I feel like part of it is also like the age Derrick Henry is, and he can still lead the league in rushing. It's just like, what? How?
Oh, yeah.
How is
it's so impressive watching him do that. I'm with you on Derrick. I'm not voting against it, but you can make the case for Saquon. For sure. And Lamar.
All right.
I mean, what Lamar does is insane.
That is true, too. I think they cannibalize each other there. So, like, if it's not Derrick, like, it probably would be Lamar. But, like, with Derrick there, it's hard to give it to Lamar. But I don't know. All right, two more. Defensive Player of the Year. We've got T.J. Watt -135. Chris Jones 6-1, Dexter Lawrence 9-1, Will Anderson 10-1. I don't know how it's not T.J. Watt.
It's T.J. Watt.
Probably would have been Aiden Hutchinson, but
yeah, he would have made a good case. But no, it's T.J. Watt for sure.
Not
I would love to see Sexy Dexy, but the Giants suck, so he won't win that award
for sure. All right, and the last one is Coach of the Year, which is Dan Quinn +180, Kevin O'Connell 5-1, Andy Reid 5-1, Jim Harbaugh, Dan Campbell are both 6-1, and then Mike Tomlin is 9-1.
Okay, it should absolutely be Dan Quinn because he walked into a new building and completely established his reign very quickly. I do want to say that if this Steelers run continues, Mike Tomlin needs to be in serious consideration after having no quarterbacks, getting Fields and Wilson and making this team work somehow. I mean, winning, what were they, 4-1 with Fields or 3-1 with Fields?
Yeah.
And then Russ comes in. I think Tomlin could be in consideration if this continues.
That's true. I think had Kevin O'Connell not lost 2 games, only lost 1, I would probably be voting for him because he has Sam Darnold. Like, he loses his quarterback right before the season. Has to go with Sam Darnold, who, I mean, nobody really trusts, and then ends up being this. But you do have Justin Jefferson there, so I do think that is a point in your favor. But, yeah, that's where all the awards stand right now. Not a whole lot of money to be made there. Dan Quinn, I think, at +180 is probably the best money you're going to get out of that. But always interesting to look and see what other people are thinking this far into the season. All right, Joe, this, for everyone out there listening, everyone who stuck it out this long, this is our last game previews of the season. I know what you're thinking to yourself. Well, guys, there's like 4 or 5 weeks left. Well, we hope that by now you may understand or know kind of who we're looking at here. We, on the other hand, would love to make better and more interesting, stimulating content for you guys. So we are going to switch up to a little bit of draft stuff, a little bit of dynasty stuff. There is going to be a little bit of season-long stuff here, but it's going to be more of like people that you need to, who people are going to win you leagues, like people who we are looking forward to in the future, that kind of stuff. But as far as like the game previews week to week, we are going to be taking a break from that. Joe, are you excited about that plan?
I am absolutely excited about that plan. We absolutely thrive on the content that we love making. And it is the draft stuff, the rookie stuff, the dynasty stuff, league winners, where we can be way more creative. When you're looking at game previews in particular, I mean, you're starting Justin Jefferson, you're starting Kenneth Walker, you're not starting John Mechie. There's not a whole lot to it, so it's not very stimulating for us. And we can tell that us not being very stimulated translates into not our best content. So we like doing it. We understand it's necessary, but this is the time of the season we love, and we will be moving into the fun stuff now. I'm very excited, Billy.
For sure. We'll, still be doing content every week. So don't turn the dial. Don't freak out, anything like that. But, we'll be doing some more buys and sells, dynasty stashes, guys to stash on your waiver wire towards the end of the season to, who may end up being the next big thing. Like, we'll be doing all that stuff, and we will just give you more interesting content towards the end of the season. So with all that being said, Joe, get us out of here.
Enjoy week 10. Good night.
Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.